Welcome back to the Quake Pro League, everybody. We're going to be moving into our next match of the day in just a second. Bringing you the action is myself, Zoot, and my trusty co-commentator, Lethal. We had a great first game between Tox and Avic, and now we're going to be moving into nosfa versus cha1n, heading over to the Americas a bit to catch some Brazilian and Canadian action. I'm looking forward to this one.
Definitely. Now, with a player like nosfa, it's a bit of a weird one. He's been struggling to close out matches here and there, and he has done for the last couple of games. And even with cha1n, he's played cha1n, Rafa already, and it's only just begun over the last few weeks. Yeah,
it's there's been a tall order for him, but when cha1n and nosfa fight, it's usually very close. I pin them, their sort of overall tier as a player. I think they're incredibly even, so I feel like this could be a very telling sign in terms of what kind of success we could get towards the second half of Stage 2, depending on who can pick up a win right now. nosfa, we know him for such amazing aggressive plays. cha1n, we see for some of his rails as well, but let's focus our eyes onto nosfa for a moment with this wonderful backing music, as this guy is usually one of the most explosive when it comes to starting any map. He always going to make you want to get bandages out.
Definitely, yeah. He's super aggressive. The man is always on a mission, and he's had a lot of close series leading up to this. And it's very hard to say exactly what he will do here, but cha1n really needs to be careful and really need to choose his opportunities wisely in certain engagements here and there.
Yeah, that's really true. But on the other side, on the Canadian side, we've got cha1n, someone who kind of walked into the Quake Pro League as, hey, this guy's got a pretty damn amazing rail. Now he's becoming more dynamic as a player. He's got the understanding of, okay, when am I trying to... what are the boundaries of my control? And he's defining it so well. He has had the best frag of the entire Quake Pro League so far by forcing Dramis into depression with his double mid-air rockets. If we can get anything remotely spicy like that, then again, we're going to be in even more of a retreat than we were for Tox and Avic.
Well, if it's anything like that last series to go by, I wouldn't be too surprised. You've got to remember now, cha1n, he's got the hardest matches out of the way now. So, you know, saying he's the comeback kid, this is maybe his time to actually shine, to get some extra wins on the board here.
It's true, absolutely. Fight your way for seeding, for position, moving over to Katowice. There's plenty of positive things that you can do for yourself as a player right here in these matches in Week 4. I'm ready to get this show on the road in a moment, but we have got some vetoes to take a look at. Have you got any kind of a feeler yourself? This is around the point where I like to talk about predictions, and you know, having casted a lot with Jackie lately, you know, predictions are a very sensitive topic, but it's also something that we look forward to at the same time. Got your eyes on a player?
Now, with cha1n, he's had some close series, especially with cha1n in the past. I feel like he could have the edge in some way, but nosfa, with the aggression, can cha1n actually be able to deal with it here? That's going to be another story.
Yeah, and the Ranger for nosfa, first map. Ranger's the most exciting champion for nosfa to play, in my opinion. I love watching him play on that, but then we've got an Athena in map 2 from cha1n. Another champion that cha1n's been getting better and better with. We could see some brilliant wizardry from that. We're going to be ending on Ruins of BJ, comfortable champion for nosfa. Strog, I haven't seen loads from cha1n on it, but I think he's been building a bit more confidence with it. This is really tough to make a prediction. I think going to lean towards narrowly the Canadian.
Are you thinking of a map 3?
I'm thinking this isn't going to be
swerving that way.
This isn't a 16-point game in my opinion. I think this is an 8-point game for cha1n.
Yeah.
But you know what? At the same time, anything can happen. But I'll be very surprised if we see some big clean sweeps on more than one map.
I'm interested to know what nosfa will do with Galena on Morton Falls. Now, I know what it's like, kind of how it is as a map, but what kind of aggressive strategies he's going to have leading up to this?
Well, it's going to be less about the aggression for the Galena. This is going to remind me a bit about Avic and Tox on Blood Covenant, where we had Slash versus Galena. You've got the high mobility light champion versus the Galena, which provides a sort of anchor coverage of defense on the map. It's a battle of resources for one and just kind of positional advantage for the other. So we're going to have to see who gets to the mark first. But we are in the series right now. It is cha1n and nosfa starting on Vale. I'm excited to see a bit of that nosfa Ranger, but who will we be blessed? We will be blessed with nosfa off the beginning. Going against cha1n's Aizen, which also shouldn't be understated at all. A great champion pick on this map, and I think a smart pick as well from cha1n.
And already trying to delay him to go for the LG here. Some great shots from him, but already managed to take it down. Goes straight for the engagement, but managed to back off nonetheless. But look at cha1n though. So weak, but that rail just to finish things off. nosfa couldn't ask for a better start here.
Yeah, brilliantly done from nosfa. Excellent early advantage. Spots the Aizen turret. There's going to be the trifecta of weaponry, and he's got, well, a heavy to work with, and maybe even a mega too, but cha1n is going to be able to dart across, take some damage on the way. Light armor available for nosfa, so his armor stack looks great. Health not as amazing, but he has got that high ground position.
But at least cha1n now managed to burn that mega, as you saw there in that mid-engagement. So that's one thing to take away from this. But what can cha1n do here? He's getting suffocated all the time. Always having that disadvantage on the low side, but that LG from nosfa again, and then rocket to boot as well. Add insult to injury and almost a rail there to try and get it. But nice heavy from him. Is he going to try and go? Yes, he will. He's going to try and push up on him anyway, shape and form. But look at this, managed to barely take him down with that third frag on the board.
That was so nice from nosfa. He's actually playing a perfect first minute and a half on this map. He's being very attentive to the spawns. He's retaliating with his weaponry and pushing when he knows he can pick up a frag. Even if it was a bit close, I still think it was calculated well enough. Now, it's a little bit steeper, but that rail shot does a lot for him. He'll have the light armor at the moment, and now cha1n's taken enough damage that he can't comfortably go onto that heavy.
Nice pick up there from him, managed to get away nice and easy. As you can see, just trying to put a little bit of damage down, trying to back him up as much as he can as he gets that mega, but what's his plan here? Is he going to try and chase it down? He's going to try and flank round. Looks like he's trying to find that opening, but says we know the least, but he's stacked up to the eyeballs here, and it looks like cha1n has to try and figure out what he can do here, but as I said, that cha1n taking a huge amount of damage and manages to get away once more. And now, what can nosfa do is trying to find exactly what he can do. He managed to get one rail out, but is he going to try and go for that second, go straight for the LG anyway? But look at that, they managed to back off. 5 HP!
Yeah, that
ridiculous.
turret is pretty nasty. Oh, the rocket from down below. cha1n manages to get himself onto the board. That's pretty painful stuff. And yeah, nosfa, watch out for the turret, man. You can do damage to it, but you can also take a damn lot from it.
What can he do now? He's only a little bit stacked here. Has a slight advantage, but cha1n must take one. He's going to go for 121 HP. Managed to get the heavy to boot, but we'll be backing off once more.
And there's a little bit of the extra health needed. Tiny bit of damage down below. He's got his turret that he's going to be putting down through the teleporter. And there's going to be the mega health up in a moment. nosfa's done a good job getting this. He does take a rail. But with this light armor, it's tough to tell who's got a big advantage. nosfa goes down, misses a rail shot, goes close quarters, but ends up going towards his death. That's what he gets really excited and comfortable with these flamboyant plays, but when it doesn't work together, sometimes he can walk into some of these big, painful shots from the likes of cha1n. Good rail from down below. That'll mitigate some of the control cha1n would have had otherwise, but we could have a bit of an explosive finish here. Those rockets are immense from cha1n, and just before the mega health spawns, he ties it up. It's all coming together for cha1n.
And this is exactly what you wanted to see as well. But look at his rails to boot as well. And now with the LG, he's going to try and finish up the job. Will he? Yes, he will. Makes him a little bit weak during the end of that engagement. But my goodness, cha1n, what a comeback from him.
2 rails as well. I was going to say that, okay, that's a big play actually. Rocket is enough with 10 health to go. The last rail nosfa got before his previous death, I thought could have been quite significant, but cha1n counters it, winning a clutch fight, and now looking to get possibly another kill. But it's a good rail shot, which is going to force cha1n away. If you're 90 health or below, you're in danger. nosfa runs out and catches him on 89. That's the kind of moment where you put your hand on your head if you're cha1n. You could possibly have gotten away. But any of these rails keep coming together, lethal. This is lethal. I'm sorry for doing that.
That's
Please
right,
forgive
mate.
me.
It's not the first time I've heard the pun before, so it's all good. But anyways, as we were saying that, nosfa with another frag on the board. It's literally been back and forth, neck and neck between the two players. We're wondering, nosfa has such a great start, but again, being so aggressive. Look at him with the LG, 9 HP. Managed to barely stay alive. Good job from him.
It's been really back and forth this game. nosfa with a fantastic start, cha1n following up brilliantly afterwards, and then nosfa right back in, hitting some of the clutchest rails ever. When cha1n is thinking that he's on the defense, it's all a ruse. We've got major items are going to be up actually in a second. nosfa is fairly far away from this. What decision cha1n? Okay, he's going towards the Mega. Does get rid of the turret in time, and still gets himself the heavy armor. So nosfa's done pretty well then. cha1n would have hoped that he could negotiate a bit more than that, but it probably means that the next few moments is going to be a little quiet, so we wait for another rotation of items.
Quite indeed. It looks like it's exactly what is going to be happening. But what is going to be the next step for nosfa here? Looks like both players will be waiting for that rotation of the Mega and the Heavy. But look at this, nosfa is going to try and get at least one rail up before him, but it's going to leave it anyway and go for that Heavy.
Yep, and there just wasn't a bit of a stalemate then. Stalemate's usually going to favour nosfa though if he's got the 2 frag advantage, and he's still equalising control. Good entry damage from cha1n. Oh my god. Oh, he fakes him out. cha1n falls for the bait of the Dire Orb, and it gives nosfa a second to recuperate some life. He decides to go through the teleporter. He finds more armor and continues to survive with his HP. nosfa's done really well to stay alive, considering how far behind he was in the previous fight.
And he was going to try and go for that Mega straight afterwards, but it doesn't manage to as he drops down. But there's another opportunity, but he's only 5 HP. He should not be alive here. And he is waiting for him to come through, but it won't be the case. Tries to get a rail off. No, he doesn't. 23 up to 48 now. Must get one on the board anyway, but he did such a great job staying alive, but it just wasn't to be. As cha1n finally manages to finish him off.
It's a rail shot. nosfa very, very weak at the moment. This Heavy's going to be up in 5 seconds. nosfa's kind of got to get out of here. Been a little tentative on his end, but there's going to be Heavy. Mega health should go over to nosfa. He has found the lights, and that is a very cheeky rail shot. nosfa comes down, hits another, but we've got Rocket to Lightning Gun. 50 health now for the Brazilian. He's got to find an exit route, as it looks like it's just a matter of seconds till we see this game tied up. Oh, what a defensive Rocket.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does get that turret down once more. He's only on 62 HP. He's going to try and back away. I'll see if we find another angle, which he does, but nosfa now, look at the amount of health he's on. What can cha1n do here? He's going to see if he can try and catch him off guard, which he does in the end, actually, forgive me.
No.
And managed to finish things up and tie things up as well, 7-all. And that Mega's just going to help things for us.
Okay, so off the spawn, he's managed to find the heavy armor, so he can do some machine gun damage. Orb with a little bit of extra burst DPS. cha1n's got to be careful suddenly. Looks for that rail to connect. And nosfa deciding that he was just going to hang around in that fight turned out to be a wise decision, as he can fully contest control on the map on the next big rotation. But it's less than 2 minutes, tied up frags. I like what I'm seeing at the start of this series.
cha1n really needs to be careful here. The circumstances he's in, we'll get that Mega anyway, but what will nosfa do? He's going to try and rotate around, see if he can find another angle here. Managed to try and get one, but it wasn't to be here. But still, look at the aggression of nosfa, just pushing in any way he can. And cha1n is just literally being patient, waiting for him, see if he can get some of his rails off.
I wonder if we're going to get a silent, I say silent, a relatively quiet last stage of the map, because they know now that what happens next is probably going to decide who wins, so you don't really want to make mistakes anymore. But we have a huge fight, speaking of the devil, moving on to the Mega health, and they decide, you know what, I've got 17 health left, but I don't mind if we finish it like this. The rail shot's pretty big, but nosfa's stack is still fairly comfortable. He's going to be very rapidly coming back in. That frag going in advantage of cha1n, it might be a bit of a trap. It's a false sense of security he could be getting as we get that follow-up rail from nosfa to make it 8-8.
What can he do here? Already on the spawn, gets the first rail off. Will he get a second? He's going to go for the LG anyway and manage to clean up with only 30 seconds left. cha1n needs to be really aggressive, but straight away nosfa with the rail. It's going to rocket him as well with the second rail. No, he doesn't. but what can cha1n do here? Needs to be really careful, but as I say that, goes over the dial, trying to rocket him down, misses that. Well, 5 HP again, nosfa. How are you surviving?
cha1n was so weak too. Is he going to hold on for this? He sees the turrets there. Turret's not attacking him, and he's going to be able to pick off another rail shot. Careful taking those 15s. One more, he would have died there. He's going through the teleporter. Oh, he's so close on live. There's a frag, but it's 9-9 now. He still spots him out. How is he so fast to find him?
2 seconds left remaining, cha1n had and managed to get it. You couldn't ask for a closer matchup than this right now, as nosfa is stacked up a little bit, but Muz takes a little bit of damage, as by cha1n, but look as they're trying to get one rail off. Sadly, he does miss. Trying to get the rock off. Yes, he does. Only a small amount of damage. The turret will come down, and I think it is going to be slow, but my goodness, this map.
He dropped he dropped right into the possible view that cha1n could have had. That was perplexing from nosfa. He had it kind of in lockdown. It was touch and go, but great opportunistic play from cha1n. Some brilliant exchanges. It looked like the previous time when we went to 8-7 when nosfa got back in control to make it 9-8. It looked as if that was a closer, but now this game is getting from good to great. As even with cha1n picking up some damage, it is tough to tell who can lock this one down for a first map win.
Neither player seems to have any kind of advantage here. Don't get me wrong, nosfa's stacked up just a little bit, gets that first rail off. Could we be seeing something here? Could the aggression come in for cha1n? No, it doesn't, but he's going to try and flame around and catch him off guard, but cha1n just needs to see what he can do. It misses that other rail, but then again, so does nosfa.
Oh, nosfa misses his jump over to heavy. Is he going to try? He's going to try and make up for it a little bit. He hasn't got a dire orb anymore. cha1n takes the map. nosfa, it reminds me of something Saigiv did a few weeks ago, actually, but cha1n, what a back and forth game. cha1n clutches it to get into sudden death, and he manages to make those optimal decisions right at the end.
That heavy bait, the LG, was perfect, or near enough to perfection there, and you couldn't ask for a better way to actually close that out.
Exactly, and when you make that decision with the dire orb, I think the decision to get for the heavy with the dire was great, but the thing is, as soon as you miss it, you've got to call it quits then. You've got to go back and say, right, I might not get any items this rotation, as long as I can be 100-100, I can push cha1n back, and I've got to play to go into 2.5, 3 minutes of sudden death. You've got to be very, very patient. And I think nosfa, when you see these eccentric plays, these exciting moves that he goes for, you see maybe just a small lack of impatience, and it can lead us to results like this. You know what? It's going to feel like 0 to 0 a little bit for nosfa, because he was fractions of a second away from winning the map.
And we're only into the second series. nosfa, even right at the very beginning for the first few minutes of this map, the lack of fear he had was what really toppled cha1n on so many different occasions. But when you saw a passive side of it, not because of lack of stack or anything like that, but he was a bit more cautious on the decisions he was making, and that kind of didn't really amplify things going much further into the later stages of the game.
I mean, give me more of that, guys. And the fact, actually, a big defining factor here is that cha1n wins versus nosfa's Ranger. And I know Ranger statistically isn't the best champion at the moment. In stage 1, he had something like a 30 to 35% win rate, which is pretty low, but he had very high percent ban and pick rate, so he was used incredibly regularly. But cha1n was always someone who would dominate with that champion pretty reliably, and now that cha1n gets that out of the way, he can move on to some pretty great things. What's it going to be next? Athena versus Galena on Molten Falls. I think this is going to be big if nosfa can win the second map to give us that tiebreaker.
I still have a lot of faith in nosfa here. You know, if he played like he did at the start of that match, going forward into the second one, then maybe he'll be okay. I'm not too sure. Maybe lacked in a little bit of confidence during the second half of that game, because there was a different person. Oh, this is what you was definitely talking about.
He drops onto it, and that was the one chance he had. If he stayed up there, I was so surprised at what happened when that was live then. I couldn't believe it.
Your face said it all, to be fair.
I was like, does that mean it's going into... Oh my god, it means it's going into sudden death here. I could not believe what I was seeing.
Couldn't make it up, really, to be fair.
Seriously. If nosfa just decided to just stand still... The thing is, if he stands still, maybe he could get telephrags. Like, oh my god, is he going to chase me through the teleporter? If he moved... I think the best move was probably to just move backwards through the teleporter.
Yeah.
If you go towards the nails, maybe he went through rocket area and was trying to run at you there. You just need to get behind some kind of terrain. If you drop down, I mean, let's exclude the fact that we're a second and a half away from the map potentially ending. You've got an LG angle to watch out for. You've got the heavy angle to watch out for. You've got the other hallway. You've got upper area to watch out for. You've got the nail to watch out for. You're vulnerable to so many angles. If you get behind the light, at least you've just got the one angle above to look out at. But enough of that, guys. We're into map 2. We've got cha1n's Athena versus nosfa's Galena. I'm hoping this one's going to be just as good because we've got some brilliant champion matchups here.
Yes, we said it was going to be a stacked week this evening, and it definitely has shown it. And with nosfa playing like he did earlier, even though he lost by that one frag, I still feel like there's plenty left of fuel in the tank moving into this.
I really hope so. I don't want it to be one of those like where it shocks you psychologically so much that you struggle to get up on your feet. But nosfa's usually a guy who's consistently motivated and passionate about getting those results. So I'd expect him to definitely have more in the tank, as you say.
I'm surprised cha1n there went through knowing that a tone pole could actually be there waiting for him, but it doesn't matter anyway. He managed to take it like a champion. And now he's going to try and push through, but look at this nosfa with that LG. Straight away, the first frag on the board for him. And already with that Mega coming up very shortly, but Heavy's not for another 5 seconds, but sure enough, we know he's going to get it.
Yeah, it's a very difficult fight there for cha1n as he's firing rockets downwards on the staircase. It's hard to lock down exactly where your opponent is, and nosfa was ready, set, and go with the lightning gun. Again, good starts. This is not something foreign to us when we're watching nosfa. It's just about how can you keep that level maintained through the entirety of that 10-minute duration.
The patient game will be waiting, but as I said, nosfa gets that first rail, trying to rocket him down. Will he follow suit? Yes, he will, but he might only get a little bit of HP back, only on 75, but decides to pull through. But look at the aggression from cha1n there. There's literally no stopping him and trying to bait him into that totem, but it just wasn't to be. Things have slowed down once more.
Yeah, nosfa really wants to slow down for as long as he can. He wants to get those armors around the map. He'll find one over a rail. I would like to see him look out for damage at Mega. I don't want him to take the Mega. I want him to try and find some exit shots. He knows that Mega's up now. There's no push up the lightning gun area. And that means he's not going to get any damage at all. So we've got a mobile light champion now with 2 major items fully overstacked. nosfa still isn't 100-100. This is becoming a really difficult game for nosfa. Missed rail, that means his location is known. I mean, yeah, he's got a... What's the phrase? Count his wishes. Count his. I don't know what it is. Do you know
Did you say count the chickens?
No, not counting chickens. It can be chickens. No, but that's like before they're hatched, right? And it's not counting sheep because that's when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
It's counting something. Basically, nosfa's counting.
We'll think about it later on. Like, we'll have a discussion and see if we can actually remember. No, like we'll probably forget it afterwards. But as I was saying, at nosfa, a little bit of advantage here, trying to get that rail off. But look at this, so somehow, some way, still alive. cha1n needs to be seriously careful here. One more rail could potentially do it. But then again, so is for nosfa, but decides to back off again.
nosfa doing very well to survive there. He managed to get good position onto major items and withstand the battering that cha1n was trying to bestow upon him. And now we have got the Mega Health taken again by our Canadian, and back on the heavy here for nosfa. Great rocket there, hits the rail afterwards. Now we can look at chasing for a kill. Shotgun is an amazing weapon to use, but the blast just didn't work out for him. There's definitely a world there that could have secured him a second kill.
cha1n's LG was phenomenal earlier, but doesn't matter. Gets taken down. Second frag on the board for nosfa, and what is he going to do next? He needs to try and heal up a little bit, but that Mega is coming, which he will grab straight away and see if he can pin cha1n down.
He needs to get that totem down. Oh my god, that was close. If he missed that shotgun, he had to have some health on the backup, but it's a brilliant weapon switch at the end. 3-0 now for nosfa. Athena struggling to get things done. And cha1n definitely bought himself some opportunities earlier with the incredible full control he had, but there was no transition into any advantage afterwards. So Mega gets taken by Athena. nosfa again, anchoring like earlier onto Heavy. Rocket's still hurting him, but he does at least get rid of that major resource that cha1n was eyeing up.
Right, he's going to still fight for that heavy. Not going to be up for a while yet. But it's just keeping cha1n on his toes so far. He's looking to see if he goes for that telly. Will he actually go for it though? Looks like he ain't going to take his chances there. As he's going to stay on a little bit more, but that heavy will be coming up in the next 3 seconds. Will it be contested? He's going to definitely give it a go one way or another, but finally manages to get it. But see what he can do from here. Get some LG done, but he's so weak at the moment. 15 HP, and cha1n gets his first frag on the board, and could this be potentially a comeback here? But that first rail is going to try and get the second.
Wonderful.
Yes, he does. Couldn't ask for more there.
nosfa's putting himself in a lot of positions which are asking for confrontation. He needs to be very wary of this, or he could lose that lead that he established early on too quickly. 3-0 for a Galena is something you want to cherish versus an Athena. And now he could be staring down the barrel of a tied game. cha1n loses out on a lot of the armor, so nosfa does delay the aggressive push. Can he totally nullify it? Or the rail could have worked out nicely. cha1n's going to back away. 78 health left. He's avoided the boogeyman, but he doesn't want to, play with the dice.
He definitely does. It's not really in a position to fight at the moment, but he's going to try and contest it anyway. But as he backs off, 71 HP, cha1n is to really be careful there. Must have take down another totem anyway, just to give him a little bit of leadway leading into the last few minutes of this game. But look at this nosfa, the aggression, the no fear I was speaking about before. Just barely, I was going to say he was barely getting away, but what a rail from nosfa to get that full frag on the board.
Picked him off. Beautiful stuff. This time cha1n gets a good out of control rail. We get a bit of spam shots from nosfa as he now knows he's going to struggle to challenge on the heavy. And he's been very aggressive on the heavy in the first half of the game. I'd like him to slow down on that. Sure, focus on being 100-100, but don't pin everything on getting the heavy armor. It's better to give away a major item than to take one and, take 150% of the damage.
But he's still got plenty of time. He's still got a good 3 minutes, but nosfa, that LG. Let's get a little bit of damage done. cha1n does have a slight advantage, but will get away, and nosfa knows exactly where he is, what he's going for, and may just leave him go for that heavy.
So nosfa doesn't have exact timing on the heavy, so any strats he has can't hinge around him picking up the heavy at the exact moment. Mega health is a bit easier for him to work with, so he should focus his strategy around this item a bit more, as it will be more reliable.
Seems like we'll be doing that, trying to bait out the Mega as much as he can. Gets a decent damage amount and one direct rocket there, as you saw, just to keep him at bay. But nosfa still keeping the aggression, keeping him precious, suffocating him at the top. Barely misses that rail, but will he be able to clean up? Protects the heavy anyway, but what's he going to do now? Misses that last rail on 50 HP. And cha1n, my goodness.
I like that a lot from nosfa because he didn't focus on picking up the heavy. It was all about, okay, cha1n's looking to go towards the heavy, means it's spawning in a second, so I'm going to just put myself in another position where I can do more damage. I think nosfa played that very elegantly, and now he's actually got the exact timing of the heavy armor, so he can be a little more aggressive. However, I wouldn't prescribe dropping down onto cha1n's lightning gun. And he agrees, so he's decided, you know what, let's fight elsewhere. There's only 2 minutes remaining. The thing is, in a medium versus a medium matchup, providing it's not Strog or somebody, this is kind of ample time to be very, very defensive. You've got to be a lot more proactive on your toes in defense now, because Athena could just come at you from nowhere, as we've just seen. These rockets are huge, 24 health left. He's just chasing around. Is he going to go through the teleporter? He doesn't make it through, and nosfa barely survives, but it results in him getting a heavy armor.
How did he get away with that? And that was definitely a perfect example of what you just mentioned. But nosfa back on 100-100, but as I say that, it's a nice rocket, it just barely misses that rail. Will he be looking for it again? He's definitely going to try, but goes for the LG, but look at the amount of health cha1n is on. But then again, nosfa, very similar stack. Gets a little bit of health back and may be waiting for that heavy, but so is the Mega. That is up right now and has been taken.
nosfa's got to get the hell out of here. Yeah, he was even there for a bit too long. 5 seconds between the major items, enough time for an Athena to do whatever she wants. But there's no more overstack on their health. cha1n, actually, for this last rotation, can probably still chase for 2 kills, but everything's got to be perfect. And nosfa, that could be the game-winning rail right there to nullify any good additional opportunities.
Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. cha1n right now was very weak. He's not really in a position to even take or make an attempt to push up on nosfa, but there's only 20 seconds left and 2 frags are still required on the board for cha1n, but it looks like it will not be happening.
Yeah, he can't find him. He is going to drop down. He checks the other side. There's going to be the rail, so it's a good amount of stack gone. And cha1n can't close the gap enough, so respawns in play. It looks like nosfa's going to take down cha1n's Athena. And we are 1 for 1 lethal. It carries on today.
I'm glad it's going to a map 3 every single time. And don't get me wrong, that series was so close to begin with at the start. But cha1n, maybe if he'd given a little bit more time, you could have seen there, could have been a slightly different story. But nosfa, it was the part of him which we saw at the beginning of map 1, we saw it throughout map 2. He did everything that was needed to, which was required. But even then, you've got to be careful of cha1n's LG. It's phenomenal.
Completely. And with that minute and 45 to go, we saw the sudden attack from Athena when you could see, you know, at a moment's notice, your defense can really not feel as secure as it is. nosfa was a lot more careful. There was a point during the game where he was a bit too attentive to the heavy armor, and sometimes when you sit on it, you're just vulnerable to damage. So he made an adaptation and decided later on, you know what, I'm not going to focus so much on taking the heavy, rather than making sure I either do damage or take it when it's safe to collect. And that really helped his chances.
And I like his ideas as well. The fact that he was waiting for the opportunity more of him pushing out with no fear. I even said it before in map 1, he did a little bit of that and then became a lot more cautious in certain scenarios, but there were some bits here and there he just should not have got away with. That was a great example there. But cha1n, you saw there earlier on in the game, nosfa had a nice comfortable lead, 3-0, but cha1n got one, we got another one off the bounce, back to back. But it just wasn't to be. nosfa just did a good job just trying to suffocate him when necessary.
Yeah, and I liked that he was learning as he went at the same time, and that he really made he made the utility of Galena count for a lot at the end when Athena can be incredibly tricky to deal with. It was a low-scoring game, but it was really interesting match of strategy then. We're going to move on now to another map. I'm trying to find out exactly where we are with it. We are on Ruins. I looked at my got the sheets, guys. We're ready over here. It's BJ versus Strog. I think I called cha1n at the beginning, didn't I?
You were edging through one way, but I'm waiting for you to like change round again now.
I can't. It's too late. I've got to stick with it.
Stick to your guns now.
Both players are playing at a good level, and what I was saying at the beginning, they're at a very close level between them, so we get exciting matches. I hope this transitions here onto Ruins. Here now that we've begun, we're watching cha1n on the crouch sliding Strog versus nosfa's BJ Blazkowicz.
And already the first engagement is underway. Takes a little bit of damage from cha1n, but managed to get away anyway. He's just trying to see if he can pressure him in any way. Misses that slight rail, but is he going to wait for him to go for that teleport? Decides not to. Completely understandable. But it's keeping him on that low ground, which is good. But a nice rail from him as he came through, finally, after all that time. And it's going to push through slightly. Again, another rail on the board. Both players on similar stacks. But what is... Oh, I was going to say, what is nosfa going to do here?
Yeah, nosfa decides, you know what, I'm going to go for that heavy. I think he's still camping out over at the connector. And although taking some early damage, he's equalizing the stacks and giving himself a chance to, there we go, hit a direct rocket. I was going to say to kind of push cha1n out of overstack, and he's essentially done that. There might be overstack health, but stick it in the armor meter and Bob's your uncle.
Both the Mega and Heavy will be coming up shortly. cha1n to find some pre-fire rockets to see if he can keep him at bay in case he does charge fit as well, which he doesn't, so that Mega does successfully go in his favour. But again, another nice rail from cha1n. He's been on fire this map throughout the last minute and a half. And he's going to see if he can catch him off guard a little bit. Does push him down once again with that height advantage.
Here's everything he's doing. That's good damage. It's worth a follow-up. He decides to drop down. He misses the follow-up shot, so he's like, okay, that's fine, I didn't hit it. Let's move away now. I've hit another rail. Mega health is up later. This is going to make timing for nosfa a bit awkward. He should be able to guess, though, that cha1n was quite aggressive off the previous fight. So he'll have a probably plus or minus, 3-second understanding of when that item's going to be out.
Yeah, nosfa's been playing in the same locations for a while now. It's been a little bit predictable, and cha1n's picked up on that. And again, that's why he's standing on the same spot the entire time, making sure he's above that Mega, making sure that he's keeping him at bay. And again, around the LG room, just trying to be careful what he's doing. The Mega just picked up once more. But nosfa, look at the stack he, well, did have, to say the least, but now it's going to be back away.
Yeah, now that stack's pretty comparable, or actually at a disadvantage to what cha1n has, even with that light intact. Heavy's up in a second. Good rockets here. Misses the follow-up. nosfa's rockets are even better. Early frag advantage for the Brazilian, and right off of the spawn for cha1n, he's going to go with the dual wield. Lightning gun's not looking too shabby at all. Hits a rail afterwards. Gets bounced onto the Mega Health. Now just pick a sensible weapon, and that is going to be your second. I say sensible. There's still a lavish amount of damage done from cha1n. He might actually be able to be fairly aggressive off the spawn.
He could be okay here, but now, what is nosfa going to do with his advantage? Going into this, going to try and stop a little bit, but it does get railed down anyway. And with that Mega coming up shortly, he's going to see if cha1n just make an attempt for it, which he doesn't, but he's going to try flank round behind him anyway. His rockets just keeping him at bay. cha1n's hoping that he can get back up there, shape or form, but knows he has that height advantage. nosfa playing around the similar areas as he did earlier on in the game. But he's trying to keep a watchful eye here.
I think one of the recent times cha1n was at a disadvantage on this map, he decided to hit a double mid-air, and that gave him the energy to come back, tie the game, and take the win. Is this going to require the same formula, or are we not quite at that point just yet? We're 4 minutes in. I say only, but it's starting to become a sizable portion of it.
Definitely so, but again, nosfa with a decent stack is going to try and go for the engagement. Great rockets from him, barely misses that rail, and he decides to back off as well. Only with 100 HP, but cha1n managed to get some armor to help him out as going forward. But now, what's he going to be expecting? That Mega will be coming up quite surely. You don't think he will be challenged for it or contesting for it in any way, as we'll be waiting for him. But great rail again from cha1n. It's been on form, not only as LG, but just his prediction. Been very good.
Yeah, and with some good retaliation too from nosfa. He's now going to get himself over towards another light, so his stack's not looking bad. cha1n's going to be in a comparable state in just a second. I think that heavy pickup should have been heard from nosfa, so he should have a good idea of both big items. And now he needs to defend himself on... Oh god, he's dropped down. He's going to go for the rocket jump up before cha1n pushes in. If cha1n knew that he knocked nosfa off, that would have been a brilliant chance to go in, get full control, and probably get on the board on Ruins.
May even got the Mega just LGing him back from it as he was doing that rocket jump, and that's another thing. And as you can see, they must get one more rail. Can he get another one? cha1n is just in such a difficult spot now. But look at that, nosfa again with another heavy pickup. And it's a bit worrying. cha1n just does not want to let this game get out of hand at this stage.
Well, it's only 2-0, so cha1n's going to have opportunities up until minute 9, basically. And it's as long as he can get himself into control first. I think follow that formula, and that formula is going to be harder to understand now, as it's going to be another frag, and it was basically for free, now putting nosfa into full overstack. So there were chances, there were big chances, now it's slimmed a bit.
Yeah, it is the nosfa show at this stage. Just keeping him on his toes, trying to at least suffocate him as much as he can, and he's doing a good job of it. He's keeping that positional advantage, but cha1n had more the advantage early on. He just couldn't keep it and wasn't in a position or the stack to hold on to it. And it's surprising how cha1n didn't get some early frags before, but barely misses that one rail. A little bit of a surprise there, but does have that 3-0 lead. Will get more heavy, making things worse now for cha1n. But what's he going to do? It looks like he will be backing away, but nice LG from him. Perfect opportunity. Only on 92 HP, but that Mega, once again, will be picked up. And nosfa in a much better spot.
There's no follow-up from cha1n. He had a brilliant combo. Lightning gun, rail, colossal amounts of damage, but he doesn't take that position to get himself the Mega health. I wonder if that was a lack of knowledge on the timing. Well, there was a big chance there. Dual wield rockets, it's a great use of it, but he's not hitting anything. And there's a small push from cha1n, but he is dearly weak. Still with a little armor left in the tank, but it's going to be back over towards the Mega health for nosfa. We're getting to the final stages now, Lethal.
And I love that as well. nosfa, earlier on, he was firing that rocket anyway to kind of make him feel like he still had a stack when he actually didn't, but 65 HP. This is Cha1n's opportunity, but then again, at the same time, they're both similar stacks. Cha1n, you need to try and take one of these opportunities going because there isn't too much time left, 2.5 minutes.
This is absolutely it. Sorry to interrupt. Cha1n's managed to get himself now onto the heavy. He's not taking extra damage. He rocket jumps up and is going to be able to secure the kill. 18 health left. All of a sudden, that magic of Mega is going to be able to make him all better again. And he can continue this. He's got speed. That rail will put him off a little bit, but as long as he doesn't take one more, he can get good position for the next heavy armor.
But now, what can Cha1n do here? So it's a bit the opposite show from what we saw before at the start to the end of the match. And Cha1n will be getting that next heavy, but will he have time? He should do, contesting for that Mega, and he's going to push straight forward, but will he meet nosfa there? Yes, he will. Gets railed down once, gets railed down twice, and he's like, yep, we've done enough damage here. We don't want to risk it once more, as he does. Hard fought, managed to get that Mega.
I'd like him to go for the upper light too, actually. He's going for a very early heavy. Looking for some information. Is nosfa looking over him at all? nosfa could be going for a very slow finish, which worries me with a minute and a half left. If you go too passively, you need to actively be looking for some damage to stop dominant control from occurring. If Cha1n doesn't take any damage now and manages to get the next heavy armor, nosfa's in a lot of trouble. There's enough speed of Cha1n that he can make his way around the map, find you off the spawn with ample time. And he's going to be... if he chased down there, he would have found nosfa. It's going to be LG on LG, the rocket to push him out of the way, but nosfa's damage from eyeball and the defense at heavy, that should be enough to carry him through to the series victory.
Yeah, nosfa was waiting there for him pretty much, and they're both trying to go for that heavy at the same time. It was neck and neck. Both players had that panic button push, but managed to get one rail, managed to get a second. Will he go and go for that third? Oh. Yes, he does. Adding salt to the wound there.
And that's going to be his last rail left. He'll pick up some more ammunition. There's going to be heavy next. An amazing game from nosfa, actually. So few errors. There was one... oh my god, the nails. There was one section of the map, probably minutes 7 and 8, where Cha1n had some proper control, but otherwise nosfa was denying everything through on Ruins.
Positional advantage he had at the start was ridiculous. Like, there's a lot of times where he could have got some of the frags on the board, but look at this. Cha1n is just trying to get anything going.
Cha1n.
And then he puts himself down a little bit, but it will go to nosfa in the end. Congrats to him.
Oh, they're being incredibly modest. Oh, poor Cha1n. Cha1n actually played a really solid game. The way that nosfa was performing with his control and the way that nosfa was using his dual wield to push Cha1n away from items was incredibly smart. When Cha1n managed to get himself control, that small missed opportunity, he didn't look at the stairs down by eyeball. If he does that and challenges that angle, it would be easier to get that control followed up onto the heavy, and then he's got the entire map to himself. There was very small moments between victory and loss for Cha1n, and it was nosfa who managed to get the better of him. Even though I think nosfa played better for the majority of the map, it comes to those small windows when you've got frag leads as small as that.
Yeah, I still felt like it could have been a bit of a coin flip. If Cha1n got the early frags like he could have done earlier on when he had that advantage above LG and just keep him at bay, and nosfa wasn't really changing many things up, was it, in terms of how he was actually positioned? He was going to the same bits every single time, wasn't really changing up, so being a little bit predictable, I'd say, and I thought Cha1n may take advantage of it, but then again, at the same time, with the mental games, it makes you think, well, will he go to that same spot each time?
There was a one or two moments where Cha1n did good damage, but I'm not sure if he had that awareness of when the item was up to kind of take that position to cut nosfa off. nosfa did a lot of things with just rocket jumping up to get himself the second major item, and Cha1n wasn't really sure how to contest against that. It was very difficult to do, considering the level of control nosfa had for a lot of that game. But, you know, huge congrats to him. That's a great victory. Cha1n, I still think he played a solid some solid maps all the way through the series, but yeah, hats off to our Brazilian.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal job. You know, they're known for their aggressive strategy and how they actually push things out, and no surprises there, I think. And it was a shame that, you know, the first map was a little bit of a struggle, but then again, those 2 maps back to back really shown exactly what he's like as a player.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, it's going to leave us to a break in a second. We have got a, yep, I was going to say the CES bloodbath is what's going to be happening next. It's Cooler versus cha1n. I am really, really excited for this. We're getting towards the sort of, after that, the halfway mark of the show to some extent, and we've got a big, big match later on with Wenger and Razy, and afterwards we're even going to have Rafa on the stream, so there is plenty to see, and you cannot miss a single bit of it. Guys, we'll see you in a few moments.